Hello, guys. So, welcome to the Young and Sane podcast. Good morning, everyone. So, I was supposed to drop an episode this Monday, but oh god, I'm guilty as charged actually. I couldn't because I couldn't catch my breath for a second in school, but that's not an excuse. I'm going to find out time to do these. So here am I recording this podcast episode, and because of course now I will always show up for you guys and just show up. Yeah. So today we're going to go into the first from the title, I am sure you know what we're talking about already: reparenting yourself and healing from inner child wounds. Right? So that's what we're talking about, but focusing on abandonment wound and the way it shows up in adulthood, and also talking about how to heal from it and how to go forward. So yes, welcome to this episode, and I hope that you enjoy. So sit back, relax. Whether you're listening in your car, on the road to work, on your way to school, just wherever, make sure you enjoy and learn a thing or two. Yeah, so let's get into it. Abandonment wound, as we talked about, is basically probably, I'm speaking a lot of English right now. It's basically experiencing trauma from neglect, emotional neglect, and all of that in our childhood. And in last episode, we talked about how it resurfaces, how it shows up in a person's life. And so today we are going to go into the details of how it shows up in adulthood, and then all the signs and symptoms that we need to get acquainted with, and also how to heal from it. So abandonment wound shows up from being hyper vigilant to having attachment issues, and so that's just a lot of things. It shows up these ways in adult relationship. So yes, when we are brought up from a dysfunctional home, we tend to develop anxiety, which relates to the abandonment we felt while growing up. And sometimes it can stem from childhood trauma or anxious attachment style of being left behind in a relationship. The intense fear of abandonment can show up later in life, in our adult relationships, in different ways. And as I mentioned earlier, probably you grew in a home where emotional neglect was the thing. Emotional neglect was just the thing, and your parents didn't know that they were inflicting that kind of trauma on you. They wouldn't pay attention to your emotions, nothing. So you're just used to that, and so you grow up having this mindset that nobody really cares about your emotion. Be a man, bottle up, man up. Don't let people see how weak or vulnerable you are. And so it shows up in the ways that we relate with other people. So you begin to have this strong fear of losing loved ones, or of them leaving you in a relationship, and then develop this anxiety throughout your life, and it goes ahead to affect your relationship with people, how you show up for people, how you attach to people. Either you attach too much or you become over suspicious. And I remember that I was this way. I'm still healing from abandonment trauma and trying to reparent myself. So from everything, right, I will actually share. So yes, that fear of abandonment is very, very deep. And so, as I said earlier, is often attached to the way we grew up with our parents, our primary caregivers. So, um, when they were not available to meet our emotional needs, they were not available to show up for us the way we wanted them to show up, all of that. And then it shows up in different ways, right? So let's get into the different ways it shows up. Number one, it shows up in anxiety. I've mentioned this earlier, but let's talk about it. The intense fear of abandonment always makes us feel like, this person will leave me. It's not just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. This person will just leave me, and then I'll just be left alone. This person will abandon me in this relationship. I will just be left alone. This person will not love me the way he or she says he or she will love me. Like, it's just for the meantime, and then they will leave me. I will be left alone. So that's it. And then there's also the hyper vigilant kind of people who are always consumed with the thought of being left behind and the fear of not being liked by others. And so it makes us become so sensitive to moods and the expressions of others. Someone makes a gesture and you interpret it to be like, okay, this person does not like me. Someone says something and you interpret it to be like, this person does not like me. Someone behaves a certain way to us, probably unconsciously, unintentionally, and we just interpret it to mean that this person doesn't like us that much. This person does not approve of us that much. And it's because of the cues we picked up while growing up from our parents. There are certain ways they acted towards us to show disapproval for our behaviors and everything. And so we often get attached to all those kind of things, and then become very suspicious of other people, seeing them through the lens of how our primary caregivers treated us or showed approval for the things we did, right? And there's another set of people that are very oversensitive to feedback. Like, they're extremely sensitive to criticism. That a little this thing you did is wrong, you're not really condemning the person. You're not condemning the person at all. Not even really you're not condemning the person. You're just pointing out that, okay, this thing you did here isn't right. You're supposed to do it this way. And they begin to flare up and become extremely defensive. So they begin to take things to heart, or even begin to bear grudges and interpret it to mean a different thing. And you can see that most of our African parents actually have this, very oversensitive to feedback. You cannot tell your mom, you cannot tell your dad that, mommy, daddy, this thing you did is not good. It's not good at all. They're going to take it out on you. Say, so you are calling me foolish. So you are calling me a liar. So you mean that I don't have sense? Like, just take it, becoming too sensitive, and you're like, I didn't actually say all these things you're saying. I said that this thing you did is not good. So they always take things to heart and then connect them in ways, like connect them to ways in which people abandon them. So they may now say, so that is why you don't like talking to me. So that is why you don't like obeying me. All those kind of things. And you're like, no, no, no. Then there's also the attachment issues, as we mentioned earlier. So the fear of abandonment shows up in extremities of choosing the way we want to be attached to a person. Either we are all in, neck deep in, not even having any sense. Like, we just want to believe that this is going to work. All in, 100% in. Even when they've not put the ring to the finger, you're all in. And I'm not saying commitment is a bad thing. You should be committed, but anyway, I'm speaking from experience, and I'm speaking from my own expression of that kind of trauma. Is either I'm all in, or I'm just scared of committing at all. Committing in any way. I'm too scared of committing. And so I would just want to run away from the feeling that, or whatever. So that's abandonment wound there showing up. And there is a healthy attachment style where, because this thing is not sealed, now I'm using the example of a relationship that will lead to marriage, because it's not expressly sealed up, like sealed, we want to get there, but we are not there yet. And so I'm there, but I still believe that there's every tendency that you can leave, and that is okay, right? So I'm not anxious that you will leave. I'm just okay if it happens. And then I'm not anxious to want to make it work. I'm just okay with it working, and I'll work towards making it work. But I'll not also be afraid if it doesn't work out, right? So like that's the healthy balance that comes to it. And then there's also the difficulty in emotional intimacy. That fear of being abandoned makes us to become stern and strict about growing emotional intimacy with others. We don't want to feel, want to numb what we feel, and even when we cannot numb what we feel, we set unrealistic standards and keep boundaries, unhealthy boundaries, right? Extreme boundaries. Probably they may not be extreme boundaries, but you get what I mean, like extreme boundaries, extreme standards, because you don't want to show up emotionally, you don't want to grow emotionally intimate with others, the fear of connection. So we always feel that we will be hurt, and then we try to protect ourselves by not being vulnerable, and sometimes it could even lead you to begin to live a lie, a total lie. So all these things are like ways in which abandonment wound shows up. Abandonment wound shows up in a person's life. Yes. So let's get into the ways that we can heal from abandonment wound. Yes, so one of the ways we can heal from abandonment wound and try to reparent ourselves again is to own your story. So yes, once again, find out the root cause. Why do I have this abandonment wound? Why do I feel this way? So own your story, get into it, and then yes, get into the story and then own it. Not like embrace it and then make it an excuse for bad behavior and an excuse for still showing up wounded. But then own it, own your story, so that you can heal from it. Don't live in denial. Just say, okay, yes, this thing happened to me, but I can become better than this. I can heal from this. So I said, first of all, recognize and get into the root of what happened to you, why it happened, and then name it, call it what it is. Give language to it. Don't just feel it, but give language to it. So you can say, I got left, I was orphaned, I was betrayed. Yes, it helps you to own the situation and get some power back from doing so. And then make sure you try to always identify how you feel. Like when you name it, identify how you feel about what had happened, right? I got left and this sucks. My beloved died and I felt bereaved. Yes, so name it and identify how you feel. Then stop rolling the presses. Like stop going too far. Stop going too far and start drawing conclusions about what the event meant for you. Like don't go too far into drawing up conclusions. especially if it's negative conclusions that you're trying to draw from it. Like example, let me use this. If you say, yes, I got left, this sucks and I must be an awful person, or you say, I never deserve to meet anyone great. No, 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 no. Don't go too far saying all those negative, drawing all those negative conclusions about yourself. Put some limits around those statements, because this kind of thinking would make you to go into a downward spiral, and even makes your abandonment wound and feelings more intense. So you don't want that. Just identify how you feel, own the story, name it, give it a name, and then identify the feeling that comes with what happened, right? And then the second thing you do is feel your feelings. Let yourself to feel how it sucks. Acknowledge that you are hurting and in pain, and this situation is going to be hard, but then you will get through it. You will always get through it. Okay, it's not going to swallow you up, it's not going to kill you. So allow yourself to feel your feelings, but then give yourself the grace to know that you will come out strong. It will be hard, but then you will come out strong. So give yourself plenty of time to grieve the loss of the life you had planned with the person who left. Give yourself time to grieve the loss of your dearly beloved, and then remind yourself that you are going through a big transition in your life, and you're going to get through it. Things may not get easier, but you're going to take it slowly, step by step, day by day, and get out of it. So find a healthy outlet for expression. If you have a friend, you have a diary, you have a notepad, you have a journal, just find something healthy and then let out your expression. Just say everything you feel. If you know a friend who is a safe space for you to feel your feelings, name it, and just tell it without judgment and condemnation, go ahead, do that. By all means, do that. Do that. Do that. If you have a journal that you trust more than a human, by all means, go write in it. Tell it your feelings, tell it everything, your diary and all that. And then go ahead to recognize that you are not the problem. You are not the problem, because this is another critical stop on the journey towards healing from abandonment. A lot of times we acknowledge the problem, we feel our feelings, we all of that, we do all of that, we express, but then somewhere in our hearts we still blame ourselves for being the problem. You're not the problem, baby girl. You're not the problem, sweetheart. You're not the problem, my dear guy. Right? You are not the problem. When a person is abandoned, you tend to view yourself as unlovable. People will not love me. Dear, you are lovable. You deserve love, and all of it without reservation. So there's nobody that cannot be loved. Listen, if God could love this world so much that he gave his only begotten son, his only son, to the world to die for it, and not just a graceful death, a shameful one, my dear, you deserve to be loved. If God could love the world this much, then you deserve all the love that God can give, right? And God can give through people. You deserve all of it, and so you're going to get it. So don't recognize yourself as the problem. View yourself as a whole person that have weaknesses, inabilities, shortcomings, and all of that. But know that you can be helped. So my dearly beloved, you can be loved. You deserve to be loved. Now, another thing is always be willing to ask for help. If you need help moving from your past, if you the abandonment wound is stopping you from moving forward, you may need extra support, a little extra support. So for you to get tips, practical steps, and someone that will just help you, take your hand and lead you on how to come out from it. So consider talking to someone trained in helping people overcome struggles, such as professional counseling. You can talk to your pastor, but just talk to your pastor only if he is trained to do this kind of thing. I know that a lot of people go to their pastors for counseling, and then the highest or the best thing their pastors can do for them is to pray for them. But sometimes these things don't even need the prayer. Um, like it doesn't really need all like just prayer. Just it needs prayer and much more, and even more. Yeah, so you get me. Prayer can be there, but it needs much more. So it's recommended that you speak to someone that can help you out of it, but most importantly, a professional. And if your pastor is a professional, if your religious leader is a professional, by all means, go ahead. Probably if you think you just need the prayers, go ahead. But if you're skilled in counseling, you can have that too. So be willing to ask for help. And because through counseling, you can actually find your self confidence and learn to slowly rebuild your trusts in the world around you. So, yes. And then, for yourself, reparenting yourself, you need to practice a lot of self therapy. So by yourself, and practicing a lot of self therapy can help you get past your past traumas. And it's quite difficult, especially in a culture where we don't really know how to do it. We don't really know a lot of people that are teaching about how to do it and all of that. But here are some tips for how to actually get into self therapy, to understand yourself, process your emotions, and then be armed with the tools to build a healthier relationship. You can get into all of this by research, but I know a way, and it's called the supernatural way, right? Of therapy. Speaking to the Holy Spirit, asking Him how He sees you, just processing a lot of feelings and thoughts with Him, trying to understand yourself better from His lens, and asking Him for practical steps and tools on how to build a healthier relationship. So that's what I call supernatural counseling, supernatural therapy, right? Um, so yes, but then the self therapy I'm talking about is you yourself reparenting yourself, right? Becoming your own caregiver, your own primary caregiver, adding to what the Lord is also, He cares for you. He's ready to speak with you and help you through the process, but you yourself also have a responsibility to care for yourself. So one of the ways of practicing self-therapy is getting into self-care and self-compassion as an essential step to finding your healing. So recognize and validate your feelings. The feelings you feel are real. They are true. And I know that there are a lot of messages that say ignore your feelings. No, acknowledge your feelings. Please don't ignore your feelings. Don't deny your feelings. It's going to give you're going to have repercussions. Acknowledge your feelings, embrace your feelings, but don't let it keep you down. Let it not be an excuse for bad behavior. This is what I always say. So acknowledge your feelings, recognize it, validate it, right? Practice self-love and self-care in the form of healthy forms, right? Not these days people practice self-love and self-care a very dangerous and destructive patterns, but I'm talking about the ones that are healthy. Take yourself out, buy things for yourself, look after yourself, ensure that you take care of your body, ensure that you take care of your skin, eat healthy. That is self-love, that is self-care, right? So nurture your well-being. It can help you to build self-esteem and release and reduce feelings of abandonment. So even if you've gotten trauma, right? Even if you have the abandonment wound, don't abandon yourself. Take care of yourself, care for yourself. The wound of abandonment is a profound emotional trauma, and it can significantly impact your mental health and relationships. So don't abandon yourself because you feel abandoned. Take care of yourself. So these are practical steps of reparenting yourself. And then there's also the professional help. That's also a part of self-care, right? Getting a therapist that would help you to find ways to get healing from the wound and also foster healthier relationships between people, friends, family, everybody, right? So embrace your journey of healing, guys. Like, embrace your journey of healing from whatever wound, trust wound, abandonment wound, as we've gotten into today. Embrace your journey. It's not going to be fast. Listen, when I got on the journey of healing, I'm still on the journey of healing, right? I was thinking that probably 2 months, 3 months, I'll be okay. But no, guys, it's a journey and you have to uncover layers upon layers. Listen, this wound is something we've carried all our lives. From childhood, these things began to be placed there. The pains, the hurts, the neglect, all the emotional traumas just began to build. So you cannot just in a matter of months or just a few years, in a few years it can be gone, but you have to do a lot of work. So you can't just think that in a matter of months you'll be okay. So get into it. It's a journey of self-discovery. So ensure that you go on this journey with self-compassion and a growth mindset. So don't be fixed on certain things. Be open to learn and to embrace knowledge that will build you up, not the kind of knowledge that will destroy you. So I guess this is where we wrap it up for today. I'm so excited to have spent this time with you guys despite school and everything. So I'm hopefully going to record more episodes and promptly drop them. Yeah, I won't disappoint anymore. So yes, thank you so much for listening in on today's podcast episode. This is the Young and Sane podcast. The Young and Sane podcast. Don't forget to like and follow, subscribe and follow. Yes, subscribe, follow, whatever the platform says you should do, so that you can keep getting content from us, and then you can grow our audience. And ensure that you share, guys. Share to your WhatsApp groups, to your WhatsApp status, to your Facebook groups, your Facebook stories, Instagram stories, everywhere. Just share this podcast so that people can get what you're getting, know what you're getting to know, and also find healing for themselves, so that we can all become sane as young people that we are. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. I hope you have a fulfilling week ahead, and also I hope that you find joy and healing. Find joy and healing. Find joy and healing. Find joy and healing. So thank you guys for tuning into today's podcast episode. I remain Tamarflourish, your podcast host, the Young and Sane podcast. So see you some other time. In 2 weeks, right? So it's a bye bye from me. Love you all. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.